Hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Market Snapshot series. My name is Rufus Kamau, Markets Analyst at FXpressor. So you can see a lot of people have already joined. Hello, Paul Carey, and thanks for being the first person to join and comment. I can see Daniel Kingori in the house. Caroline Waithera, good morning. I can see Morgan and Rono. Thank you guys for joining. So let's get things started. When they say money never sleeps, we all know that they talk about the dollar. So the dollar has been under immense pressure since the year started, mainly as a result of Trump's actions. And this is majorly as a result of the tariffs that he has been implementing around the world. But then much progress has been made over the weekend between the US and China. So both countries agreed to reduce 145% all the way down to 10%. And as a result of these, we have seen a big reaction in the market, the dollar making big gains against other currencies. And at the same time, we have also seen the US stock market indices making a strong rally this morning. So Bitcoin is also still on the rise. So good progress this morning. And of course, we have seen oil also being on a strong rally as a result of the negotiations that happened over the weekend. So we'll take a quick look on some of the key highlights. And once we cover these, we also look at the economic calendar, the top events, including CPI, the producer price index, retail sales, and an expected speech by Jerome Powell later this week, which are bound to be moving the dollar this week. So let's get started with the highlights here on trading economics. So global stocks rise on US-China trade deal. As you can see, this is the main headline of this morning. So global stocks rallied on Monday after both the US and China agreed to temporarily lower tariffs following trade negotiations held over the weekend in Switzerland. The US will reduce tariffs on Chinese goods from 145% to the opened in the green, while in Asia, the Hang Seng led gains with an increase of almost 3%. US equity index futures also rose sharply, reflecting broad investor optimism. So, among the key highlights, we know that during this period when there was a lot of tariffs implemented against China and the rest of the world by the US, gold was the major gainer. So gold was hitting into new all-time highs, and it eventually hit that 500. But now we are seeing investors turning from risk off to risk on. Apologies for that. So with hopes that these tariffs will be eliminated and business will be back as usual, now that level of uncertainty is no longer present in the market. So the risk premium that was added onto gold is now being reduced. So this morning we have seen gold dropping over 3%. So Danish inflation rate 1.5%, dollar rises on US-China trade optimism. Brent gains on US-China trade progress. Japan current account surplus rises as expected, and China consumer prices fall for the third month. So those are the key highlights as of this morning. And if you look at commodities and how they have been performing since the market opened, crude oil is up 2.55%. Brent oil is up 2.44%, while natural gas is slightly trading lower, down 0.16%. So gold is down a whole 3%. Silver is following suit, down 2.26%. Copper is also down 0.94%. Whereas if you look at agricultural commodities, they are majorly doing well, with the leader being, in this case, soybeans, which is up 1.25%. So coal is up, steel is up, TTF gas is up, lumber is down. So quite a volatile Monday. Normally on Mondays, we expect a slow day where the markets are moving sideways, but today it's completely different. So looking on the Forex side, here is the performance of the dollar since the market opened this morning. So the dollar has been the main gainer. So all other major currencies have been losing to the dollar, with the biggest margin, the Japanese yen. So, well, these trade tariffs were being implemented, investors were majorly using the Japanese yen as a safe haven asset. So the same way they were using gold as a safe haven asset, now we are seeing the opposite performance here. In this case, dollar claiming its territory and gaining 1.76% against the Japanese yen. So it's also up 1.73% against the Swiss franc, 1.23% against the euro, 1.01% against the pound, 0.37 against the New Zealand dollar, 0.01% against the Canadian dollar, and almost unchanged against the Australian dollar. So clearly, this is a big move as of this moment, with the dollar claiming its territory. So we should be expecting to see the dollar maintaining that path for the rest of the day unless we have any other updates. So despite the news on US-China reaching a trade deal, the news that happened over the weekend, where both Pakistan and India agreed on a ceasefire, and upon agreeing that, then the risk premium of an all-out war between India and Pakistan has been shelved. So we don't expect much development from that. Well, clearly, nothing more to update from that front. So now on the economic calendar, today, being Monday, we don't expect much to be happening in the markets. So of course, there'll be two speeches, though we don't expect much market impact from them. One of them, PM, but in between we'll be having the Monetary Policy Committee members from the UK speaking. So in this case, at 1:30 p.m. we have Green speaking, Manu speaking at 3:50, and later on we'll be listening to Taylor at 7 p.m. To Tuesday, we'll be expecting more news in the markets. So the Bank of Japan summary of opinions will be released at 2:50 a.m. tomorrow. Then we look at the claimant count change, which is unemployment claims from the UK. Of course, we expect unemployment rate to slightly tick up from 4.4% to 4.5%. Then the main data point of the week will be the US inflation report, or the CPI. So we expect that inflation remained at 2.4% in the month of April, with a month-by-month increase of 0.3%, whereas course CPI is also expected to have increased by the same 0.3% in the month of April. So once we get that data point, we'll be getting a speech from Bank of England Governor Bailey at 6 p.m. on Tuesday. Then we look at we focus on the events of Thursday. So the weekly crude oil inventories will be coming up at 5:30 p.m. on Wednesday. Then we look at the employment data from Australia at 4:30 a.m. At the UK GDP month over month, where we expect a 0.0% change. Then follow-up of the US CPI report, we'll be getting the producer price index. So in this case, it will be a host of data at 3:30 p.m. The Fed meeting where the Fed Chair Jerome Powell decided to hold interest rates steady at 4.5%. In this case, we'll be getting a follow-up meeting from Fed Chair Jerome Powell, where he So outside of that, we'll be looking at inflation expectations quarter over quarter in New Zealand at 6 a.m. on Friday. Then SNB Chair Schlegel will also in highlights that we should be expecting to watch in the markets this week. And now we can do some technical analysis, try to understand impact the markets. So clearly, I'm trying to share my screen here. So I'm hoping everyone can see this. So this is the performance of the New Zealand USD pair, where we expected that once the market broke out of this channel to rally past the top, it played out as expected last week, and then from then we had a drop. And the last session we had was on last day, we expected prices to drop to the support area. However, following the news of Trump getting into a trade deal with China, we have opened this morning with a very, very strong dollar. So clearly gaining against the New Zealand dollar. We have broken below that low. And now, if you look at a higher time frame, then there's a good chance that this momentum could extend all the way down to 0.58307 price action level. So I know what you're all thinking, what's happening with gold and why is there such a big gap? So as you can see here, we have a big momentum in gold. We opened with quite a gap. The market crossed the gap immediately. So if you go to a smaller time frame, say the 1 minute time frame, it is immediately the market will open with a gap. There was a push to cross the gap, which was not complete. Then after that, we have seen momentum downwards. So judging from the closing price on Friday and the current price right now, gold is down about 3%. Mainly as investors shift back to riskier assets, in this case, including stocks, where a lot of investors were running away from stocks due to the Trump tariffs. So clearly, there's a support area that we should be targeting here. This is the low of 2 weeks ago. So good chance that gold extends the current drop to $3,201 per ounce of gold. So Brent oil is currently on a rally after forming this inverted head and shoulder pattern. We can see the strong bullish momentum that played out this morning. So of course, a trade deal is good for oil demand. And now that we don't have risks coming in from India and Pakistan, good chance that we'll be seeing oil retesting this resistance area at $67.8 per barrel. So on the other hand, looking at US equity indices, clearly strong rally. So some of the big sell-offs that we experienced, especially on April all the way down, this was a 14% correction. Here we are seeing the market price momentum showing resilience and market retesting 42,557 for the Dow Jones. So for the UT 100, or what we call NASDAQ, should be around 21,169. For SP 500, we have just broken above this major resistance, making 100% comeback from the April 2 sell-off. So from the daily time frame, you can see that the momentum is on European equities have made a major jump in the last 1 hour, but board an instant reversal, same thing as the German stock market index. So a big move happened here, and then the market erased the gains immediately. Same thing for the EU. So this could be perhaps because Trump hasn't agreed on a trade deal. We see the market correcting and back to mean. But then there's still good opportunities, one of them being the UK 100, where we know that Trump already agreed a deal deal with the UK. So with a deal in place, we could be seeing UK stocks recovering. So even though in European equities we have seen this price action, I expect K100 to continue making a recovery. Of course, we are bound to break out. So we should be tracking this area here, looking for a potential break to the upside. On the other hand, for the majors, in this case, for the Swiss franc, expect this momentum to be sustained and perhaps the market to retest to 0.85814. So for the Euro USD, clearly we have seen a very bearish momentum this morning. So the market jumped straight to a key level support that we had identified last week. And now we have to watch for a potential break. That break hasn't happened. But if that break happens, then we move on to the next target, which would be 1.09436. So pound USD has also had its own fair share of bearish momentum. So last week, we had talked about a potential trade deal, and we mentioned that the market could potentially bounce from here if there's a trade deal, and if there's no trade deal, then we continue pound worsening. So we saw the market bouncing from this area, getting back up, and then dropping towards the end of the day. Then on Friday, making a rally. But then today, after market open, it's no longer about the UK trade deal. It's more about the dollar strength. And with the dollar being really strong, we have seen the market break to an area that we had identified as a key level target. This was a previous high. So the market literally jumped straight to 1.31616. And now, good chance that we see a continuation of the same. So if the dollar remains strong for the rest of the day, good chance to get moving further downwards to around 1.30140. So for AUD/USD, clearly the Australian dollar had started the day pretty strong against the USD, but now we are seeing the Australian dollar losing. And of course, with the correlation with gold and gold being down 3%, then our original analysis or sentiment remains the same. So we still expect the Australian dollar to continue weakening. And of course, in this case, the target is 0.63574. So USDN is perhaps the most impactful pair. So we saw the market forming an inverted head and shoulder pattern here, breaking towards the upper side, pulling back, and then making a run for it. And now we are seeing a continuation of the same. Good chance that we keep seeing the dollar gaining momentum against the yen and potentially extending the rally all the way up to 150.492 price action level. So if I had to choose to trade, I'll go for USD JPY compared to the others, mainly because the yen has been the weakest this morning. So Bitcoin is also making a good run for it. We analyzed these. This was the yearly low 5 days after the liberation day tariffs. And since then, we have only had a strong bullish momentum. Last week was so with the correlation with the SP 500 and the Nasdaq, it seems a good chance that Bitcoin could hit a new all-time high. It's not very far off. So at the current price level of 104,000, if it rallies by 5%, then it would be looking at new all-time highest territory. So that being said, I believe it's a good day to be trading the dollar. For gold, we expect the weakness to persist for the rest of the day. And of course, once we get more updates, we'll be sharing with you. So as of now, I'm checking the comment section to see if there's any questions. So one comment here, sudden move has happened at 10 a.m. where stocks have risen by 3%, gold down, DXY up, etc. I can't see any news driving this. So this is mainly market sentiment shifting instantly. Now with the reduction of tariffs between US and China, it seems like there will be reduction of tuck into stocks. However, as of the timing of the 10 a.m. move, I don't understand why that's happening. So I'll be checking later, and if there's any update, I'll be sharing with you guys. So what's next for JPY pairs? So for now, the dollar is pretty strong, and it's going to continue gaining against the Japanese yen. But then at some point, we know that we would be expecting to see regaining its strength. However, as of today, we focus on the strength of that is where the pips are at. So that's it for the day. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you for liking and sharing the live session. If you're watching this on X, retweet would really help in getting more traders to catch up with this. Of course, for the Bullish Banter podcast, we have a new episode that is out. Make sure to check it out. And if you're just starting your Forex trading journey, make sure to check out the FX Pesa page on YouTube. Look for the Novice to Pro course. Go through it, and of course, join our daily sessions happening from Monday to Thursday. At exactly 11 a.m. where we that very day. And once we talk about that, we do technical analysis and try to identify potential market opportunities. So thank you very much, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your trading day. So sorry, I almost missed this question here. USD has been largely subdued across the board. The development regarding China and US negotiations, can we expect the USD to make a massive recovery against other currencies? Well, the dollar to now begin recovering. Now that you have seen a trade deal happening between US and the UK, and now US and China, good chance that we expect more confidence in the dollar this week. So that's it for the day. Enjoy your day.